just tell us a little bit about yourself, and whatever you want to say.
Okay, well, thanks, Brian, so much for interviewing me today. I'm so happy to be in any project with you. We've come a long way, I feel like, since we were in school together, and it's just an honor to be interviewed by you. So tell me a little about myself. Well, I'm currently in Southern Virginia, and I am in between churches right now. I just finished up a time at Old Donation Episcopal, and taking a little bit of a break and figure out where I will be going to next from here. But I'm still a chaplain at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, and that's always a fun place to be. Canterbury Center there is my very favorite place. Oh, that building just has, first off, it has great acoustics, and it just sings, I feel like, every time you're just in there. And also it smells nice. Do you notice that churches have a kind of a smell to them? Some of them can be kind of musty or whatnot, but Canterbury smells amazing. I think it's just the fragrances that our sexton puts out, but it's still really nice. You just come in, it's oh, that's nice. Yes, I am a mom. I have 2 little boys. I am married to a wonderful spouse. My husband, he's great. I have 2 boys. They're both under 5. My eldest is 4 and my youngest is 2. And it's been quite a journey because Arthur was born 2 weeks, on February 29th of 2020, right before the shutdowns started happening. And so it's been a real journey with him. I'm also an elected member of the board for the Fund for the Diaconate, which
cool.
is where I do most of my deacon ministry, I think, right now, being a mom and also working as a chaplain. But working on the board has been such an honor and a privilege. I have learned so much there. The people on the board they just bring so much different expertise and everyone's a deacon. I've benefited so much from listening to them talk, everything that they bring up from their ministries. I'm the youngest person, which I think is kind of why I was voted on to be there and why I was encouraged at first. They asked, a few people had asked me to run for election. I thought, I'm about to have a second baby. I don't know if this is a good idea right now. Maybe I should do it in a few years. And they said, no, just try. And if you make it this is something that we as deacons need to start figuring out, is how can we help younger deacons who have children can better, how we can help them in developing their ministry. Should I talk a little bit about the fund? I don't think all the deacons know about it.
Yeah, tell us about the Fund for the Diaconate.
The Fund for the Diaconate exists to help deacons in their ministries, not to fund their ministry, but to fund the deacons who do them. Because most deacons are non-stipendiary, of course. And the fund is there to help any deacon who is experiencing financial distress, be it bills, of job loss or medical bills. You can fill out a grant application and we review them at least twice. Most of the other some of the grants we just review twice a year, but some others we're reviewing multiple times during the year now too. But it's there to help deacons in need to be able to keep doing their ministry. I remember when I found out about it, I remember when I was trying in the middle of discernment and I was trying to determine if I should be a deacon, if I should really do this, because it is non-stipendiary. And I was I'm right after college. Everything about being a deacon rings true with me about being in between the world and the church. And I wanted so badly to be a part of that, but the logistics of it, of giving up time, not only just for schooling, but in my work, in my professional career, I found out about the diaconate, the Fund for the Diaconate, and that really helps me in discerning my call to the ministry, because I thought, if I don't have a traditional job where I have a 401k and I'm working 9 to 5, so many other people my age, like I'm not left behind, like someone's got my back, like someone, there is an organization that will help me out like later on down the road. And so it's really good work, and I love helping deacons out with it.
Awesome.
So there's some really like extreme stories of need that we hear, like people like who should be enjoying their retirement like in their 90s that are still working, or people who like deacons, and they're all deacons, like deacons who might like list like donating plasma as like an income, and that's not income. Like wow. That's not. So like there is a lot of need out there, but it's also not just for extreme cases. It's also for like any deacon who needs it. Just apply, and we will take a look at your application and talk about it. And also the fund is working on expanding like the grants that we are offering. So we're not just offering out grants for like job loss or like medical expenses. Like with COVID, we implemented an emergency COVID grant for anyone who was like losing hours or just anything. Like if you lost any kind of money from some kind of income or anything, like during the pandemic, people applied for this program, and we helped out people with this. The grant committee that I am chairing right now, which is the Formation Grants Committee, and so far we've only had 2 people apply, and we approved them, but I'm really hoping that we'll have more apply. But it's a grant to help deacons who are in formation, that you can apply if you're in your first or your second year of being in deacon school, or whatever formation program your diocese is doing. And it is wheel grants each person up to like $1,500 for each school year. So it starts like in the fall. So if you were to apply like right now when we approved you, you could still apply again for later on in the fall, because like there are so many kinds of different like deacon formation programs. We're also really hoping to, right now, like most of our grants are kind of like from the US, but we're really hoping to reach more people who like more deacons who are not US or don't speak English as their first language. So we're currently like translating all of our applications into Spanish at first, and then we're moving on to other languages so that we can help out deacons internationally.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's the best work ever. It's just, Well,
talk a little bit about you. How did you discern your call to be a deacon? How did you hear God's calling?
I guess though, like the first part though is that, I mean, I've grown up in the church, and it has been I grew up in the military, like as an Army brat, and the church has always been an anchor for me. And my mother, I grew up Episcopalian as well, but she continued like going to services because it was the same like everywhere. I know that that's not always like what we want to be, like uniform. I mean, I think part of my dream for the church is for us to express like more of our like individual characteristics as like congregations or worshiping groups. But the Book of Common Prayer has always been there, and like it was a constant like source of like support for me, like growing up as a kid. Like, man, what did I do? Like, I mean, I acolyte, like choir, lay reading. And when I got older, moved to Virginia, following my husband with his orders in the Navy to Norfolk. And I started going to church here. Like I found a church, and it was great going to a church where like they didn't know like my parents and stuff. Like you just like grow up a little bit more. I feel like when people start seeing you as an adult and they hadn't seen you as a child or like a very young adult, then I feel like that's different. I got to know like the associate like rector at my church. Her name's Samantha Vincent Alexander, and I had never really been to a church that had like a woman priest at all, and I didn't really like consider it as an option, honestly, for me. But like I remember like talking with her once at like for coffee, and I asked her like why did she go to seminary, like what was her like story, because she grew up Roman Catholic where they don't ordain like women at all. And she said that she just went to seminary because she wanted to learn more about God. And I was just like floored by that. I was like, you could do that? You could just go to a place and just learn about God? Because that's what I want to do. That's all I want to do is just learn about God. Some days I just feel like I'm here to just learn as much as I can in the time that I have, in the space that I am, like what it means to love and be in right relationship with God as much as possible. Like I try, but I mean, we all know that Jesus Christ was a perfect example of that, and neither of us are perfect, but it's just that relationship, I've been nurturing it since I was a child. And I felt that, like, I heard the calls of the diaconate. Like at first I was like considering the priesthood. I think when you're young, people kind of like press you to like consider the priesthood, but it didn't really ring true for me as much as the diaconate did, like with its words of like, oh, let me go to the, just like its focus on our baptismal covenant of like recognizing the dignity of like each and every person, and the language of what I was told, that we are to be like a voice for the world in the church and a voice for the church in the world. I grew up in a very like transitory space, like my entire life. I am biracial with Black and white. I am often like just speaking, I feel like in between like my families, like translating. It's an experience that I am not like unfamiliar with, as being in like in a transition space. And as I have like grown in like my ministry as a deacon, like even as like a chaplain, which I don't think there are as many deacons that do chaplain, but I think that deacons do add like a rich voice to what it means to chaplain, because honestly, we are chaplains out in the world. We're reminding the world of God's presence, and we're bringing that to people who are, the poor, the oppressed, the marginalized, people who need that kind of hope, people who see it. I used to do a laundry love ministry, where we would just go to a laundromat and just pay for people's laundry, like just whoever like came in that day.
That's
like
awesome.
Oh, it was the best. I miss it so much. It's like real like hands-on like deacon work. I feel like now I'm kind of like indirectly a deacon, like more like supporting like other people's ministries. But well, like that one was just doing laundry love was absolutely wonderful. We would start with prayer, do laundry. One of our guests would have a testimony to share, and I would, and just to walk around and just see people like where they're at and just meet with them, ask them how they're doing, like how has their month been, like since I last saw them, like what are their kids up to, like bringing snacks for the kids or like coloring books so that they're not like super bored at the laundromat. It was such a great need, and just a really great place to be with people. Like, 'cause laundromats are like some of the last public places that we have. I guess also a part of like my deacon ministry was being a librarian. Well, I wasn't actually a librarian. You have to go to like master's school for that. But to the public, when you're working like behind the desk, you're a librarian. I was actually a library aide. So I was just there, just mostly helping people with like computer issues. Like I remember this, and it was just constantly like nonstop. Usually like people are always needing like help with the computer. Like, it's been a few years since I've worked there, but I'm sure still not everyone has access to the internet. Not everyone has like a smartphone or computer, or is even like able really to like use it or to like troubleshoot or fix it if it has like any problems. So coming to the library is a great resource for the public if you need it. And there were just wonderful people that I met there. There were some really challenging people that I met there as well, but like I won't really forget like this one encounter that I had. But someone came up to me with a question. He says, "Hey, I need help like applying for an email," and he's young, and I'm like, "Are you for real? Like you need help like making an email? Like that seems kind of like fishy to me." But then I found out he was a returning citizen, and I was just, oh my! And I was like, "Well, when were you incarcerated?" And he's like, "Well, I went in 2007," and I was like thinking like back to 2007. And like I had a BlackBerry, like it was just, the internet was totally different back then. Like it's so, just those few years, like an incredible amount of technology had changed. And so of course he was lost in our digital landscape. So I helped him out. I helped him like get an email, apply for jobs, and I didn't really see him again. So I really hope that it worked out real well for him. What else, like with determining to like be a deacon, just bridges, being a bridge is just a very powerful image in my life. Bridges between races, between ages, between families, between cultures, or even like really between spaces too. Like I moved constantly. I went to about 13 different schools before I finally graduated from high school. And so I feel like I bring like just a different kind of an understanding of what it means to be in a transitory like space, because I think that's where deacons really are. Like as my deacon ministry has expanded, I really see us more as like navigating the church like through like that boundary between the church and the world. And because when you get close enough, like with like I guess like subatomic particles, when you get close enough, like it's blurry and it's hard to like see like which is which. And I don't know, maybe that's just too poetic or too metaphorical of an image for the diaconate, but I feel like that is like where we're at. Like we're in a blurry boundary and we're helping the church navigate through it. We're helping like to translate like what the church could mean like for the world, because man, the church has done a lot in our long history for the world to be angry at us and not trust us. And that is something that has to be translated. That's something that not every like person is like going to like understand about the church. And that's where like deacons come in, because we are going into communities. We are like out and about doing practical ministry, getting our hands dirty, even for people who are like more like, I feel like I'm kind of like an indirect deacon like right now, because most of my ministry is like, well, one of my deacon friends had told me that it is a beautiful ministry to raise children into being good people, like good additions to the world. But I feel kind of, I'm not doing like laundry love anymore. I'm not taking sandwiches out to the unhoused on the street. I'm not doing like those kinds of like hands-on right now. But in my church work, I do work with the outreach committee. I work with the Becoming Beloved Community Commission. I work with evangelism, and I am just working with people who are also out there working, like that the laity is the most important order. And in our practice, I feel like that's not quite what's communicated. We're incredibly hierarchical as a church, as the Episcopal Church, but the laity really is the most important, because they're out there also like in the world, in their jobs, like they're at their kids' football games, they're at their office, they're on the bus, they're also like extensions of Christ's body out in the world. And they, I think, can benefit is showing and being an example of what it means to be like Christ extension out into the world, and show them how to do it. So something that I kind of like ask people like in church is like, what are your eyes seeing? Like, what have your eyes, your ears, like what are they primed to see? Because there's something or someone that you are seeing and meeting that the rest of us aren't. Someone who needs the church, Jesus, mercy, justice, love, whatever. There's someone that they're seeing that we are not, and they need help with, I guess like fixing, like tuning their eyes and ears to that landscape. I mean, it's hard out there, like living according to your faith. The world will try and compromise you in so many ways, shapes, and forms, and in ways sometimes that you don't even notice. And it's important to have people who are actively like thinking and doing that work and showing how it can be done.
So, do you have a favorite memory of you've been a deacon for 6 years now? Is there something that sticks out in your mind of a favorite memory of being a deacon?
Well, this happened before I was ordained, but Deacon Sally Gunn in Virginia does a prison ministry, and she invited me to come and visit the women who she visits with in the prison. And it was for a Maundy Thursday service. It wasn't on Maundy Thursday, but we were doing a foot washing instead. And I remember thinking like, oh man, I am excited. I am jazzed. I'm going to like wash these ladies' feet, and I'm going to just love on them as much as possible. I didn't know exactly how that would look. And when I got there, it turned out I didn't do any feet washing. The best thing I could do was to let these women who I just sang with and like read scripture with together and like discussed like the meeting of Maundy Thursday together with, like, they just wanted to wash my feet. Like, and there were so many women who wanted to do it. So like I had one woman wash one leg, one woman wash the other leg, one put lotion on, like I had another one try it. I was very pampered by these women at the prison, but that's just what they wanted to do. And the best thing I could do was to just let them. And there's just like, in that touch, it was beautiful. What a beautiful night.
That is beautiful.
Thank
you for sharing that.
So, yeah. But like as a deacon, man, there's like so much. Like Laundry Love is always a great place to go. I would have to develop a relationship with the people who own the laundromat. And the first laundromat I worked at on Colley Avenue in Norfolk, Benita, she's since died, and I'm just so heartbroken with her passing. But she was such a fun spirit to work with there. And the staff who she had help us with just making things like go smooth, because they use like individual cards, and so to pay for it wasn't like with quarters or with cash, so it was a little bit of a hassle trying to load up like all of these cards for people. But one of her attendants who worked there, his name was Jack, and he was so great with all of the people who like came in, and he was just like, he would talk us up like during like when we weren't there so that people would come. And he was an amazing dancer, and he would play music, and he would start like just break dancing, and it was spectacular. And we had a dance off where he is doing these remarkable moves, and then like the camera like pans to me, and I didn't know what else to do except turn around in a circle, so I called it the washing machine. But just having a dance party and just singing and like dancing like in a laundromat on like a Monday night, just fantastic, great stuff.
That is really fun. Do you have a dream for the church?
A dream for the church? My dream for the church is for it to be less exclusive. I feel like it's very, very inclusive, and that there's only so many people who can become ordained. There's only so many people, because we have such like high bars. I'm not saying like let's relax our standards, but I am saying like let's make this easier. Especially like for young people who would be interested in being deacons, because living a life like living a life of studying like a scholar, and then also like doing ministry out in the world, like that I think appeals to so many people. And I would love to see like those folks find their place in the church, because we need to have like more diversity in our voices of people who are our leaders. We are in the middle of this transition period into like what the church looks like in the 21st century. If you're looking at like the transition period of what the printing press did in human history, and how much it changed like every aspect of our society, like not just the way we worship, but the way we govern ourselves, like the way we earn money. It's just astounding. And that was just the printing press. Now we have the internet, and how it's so easily accessible in lots of different ways to people. Like it has connected people from all over the globe now, and we're still like living into like what that means. And the church is definitely going to change over this, and we need more people who we just need a richer voice. I feel like we need more brown people, we need more black people, we need more young people, we need we still need like everyone who can like help out, but we need more trans people, we need everyone, I feel like, because if the church wants to stay relevant to the world, then we have to like kind of help them out with that relevancy. We have to show people like how we are relevant. We have to like stay in touch. Like we're not in like ivory towers, like this is in the Middle Ages where like we're in an abbey or a monastery and we can like be cut off like from the world. No, this is a globalized, very complicated, very interconnected world economy that we live in these days. And we need to amplify as many voices as possible to help us in this transition period. And I think it's probably going to like hurt a little bit more before we see like some more, before we see like the, I guess a sunrise maybe. But I mean, I know that the church is going to be there. I'm so excited to see what our form takes. I'm excited to see like how we grow into this new century, into this new technology, and into this new way of like being and sharing like Christ's presence with each other and others. That's my dream. I hope that's a good dream.
That's a great dream.
Okay.
Can you tell the people how old you were when you were ordained?
When I was ordained, I was 27 years old.
Wow.
And for a little while, I was the youngest deacon in the church. But, you know, with being like the youngest, you're eventually going to age out of it. So I'm no longer the youngest. I am so happy about that. I am so glad that there are younger people who are coming in after me. I don't want to be the youngest. I don't want to be the last young person either.
Anything else you'd like to share with us?
I'm just super proud of you, Brian.
Oh,
I'm so glad of the work that you're doing, and I'm thankful that you thought to ask me to help you out with this. I'm just over the moon, really. And thanks for listening to me talk so long.
No, this is great. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how to send you some love over the computer. I'll give you a fist bump.
Oh, nice. Got it.